Hello everyone and welcome to Fellows Friday. This week we are here with Jeff Lauck, class of 2018. So to begin, we'd just like to ask you to tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a junior. I'm a history and political science double major with a double minor in Civil War era studies and public history. What else do you want to know?
Why are you so interested in this topic?
Oh, so the Civil War. I would say my interest in history really started way back when I was really little. I got hooked on the PBS show Liberty's Kids, and that was about the American Revolution, and I kind of, I guess, exhausted the topic of the American Revolution to the point where I couldn't really learn much more as like a little kid. And then my brother kind of got the jump on me, and he started learning about the Civil War, and eventually I just kind of migrated over there, and then I never really left.
Yeah, and it's a good school to do that at.
Yes,
clearly.
absolutely. That's how I ended up here. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, Civil War, gotta come to Gettysburg.
Was there any certain part of the war that really got you interested, or did you just love it all?
I don't know. I think maybe kind of my portal between the two was, I guess, the Battle of Yorktown, because I think I went to the battlefield and I was like, oh, there's Civil War stuff here too, and that kind of, I was like, wow, it's got both.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped me jump, I guess.
That's great. With all of the stuff you've researched, you've clearly done a lot of that. What was your favorite post you've had or project to research?
So it took me a while to think about this, but I would say my favorite one was one that I wrote last year, and I think it was just recently featured on Throwback Thursday.
Right, yeah.
Was a piece about baseball in the Civil War, and particularly about baseball during Reconstruction, and kind of how baseball as an institution helped reunify the country, but really only reunify white America, not necessarily the country as a whole. So check that out. It's one of my favorite pieces that I wrote, I think.
Yeah, it was just featured a few weeks ago, so if you want to check, it's right on our feed. What figure do you think is the most interesting?
I would have to say Frederick Douglass. He's kind of got a story that just speaks volumes to every single aspect of the Civil War. He escapes from slavery, he becomes an abolitionist, he helps recruit USCTs to fight in the Union Army, and then afterwards he's really big on playing a role in solidifying the memory of the Civil War, and especially the emancipationist and abolitionist memory of the Civil War. I don't think he's too successful in doing that, but I think his story is just kind of like, I don't know, his story really speaks to the way I interpret the Civil War, I guess, is what I'd say.
How have you been able to interact with his story since you've been at college?
So I would say I've mostly played along with the way in which he shapes Civil War memory. I know in one of my classes, Dr. Bergner's methods class, which took a huge end,
right.
We had to do a reading on the different memories and legacies of the Civil War, and one of the ones that I think we talked about as being lost was that of Frederick Douglass. So that's kind of where I focus most on him.
Yeah, that's great. You worked at Richmond.
I did.
2 summers ago.
Or this past summer.
This past summer?
Yes, so
okay.
this past summer.
What was that like?
Yeah, so this past summer I worked as a Pohanka intern through the Civil War Institute in Richmond National Battlefield Park in Richmond, Virginia. That was really cool. I got to give programs at both museums, at Tredegar Iron Works, as well as out on the battlefield, at Cold Harbor and at Malvern Hill. And one of the things I like best about Richmond is that it's just got so much Civil War. It's not like Gettysburg, where it's really only July 1st through 3rd. I mean, there's other stuff too, but I mean Richmond, it is from the very beginning of the Civil War to the very end and beyond. So there's just tons of stuff to cover there.
Was there any aspect of it that you appreciated more? The interaction with the public, the research?
I would say probably giving tours was awesome. Giving tours, but also being at the information desk on the 2nd floor of Tredegar, you'd have a lot of visitors just come up and ask, like, the most interesting questions, and you could really kind of take, and that's like what I'm kind of talking about, like, you could really talk about so much with Richmond. There's so many different ways you could go to.
Right, yeah.
So they'd have like this one, minor question, you could really extrapolate that into an entire story about the Civil War, and that was really fun.
Did you find visitors came for the same topics usually? Was there a certain type or time period where they really focused on?
It kind of depended. In Richmond, we had a lot of different types of visitors. We had a lot of visitors who had maybe, grown up and lived in Richmond their entire lives, and they said, hey, the this day I'm going to go check out the museum. So that was kind of cool. I got to help them explore the story of where they've lived. But we also had lots of visitors who they might be doing a tour of all the Civil War battlefields, and so they're big Civil War buffs, and they want to learn more about the stuff that specifically happened in Richmond. And then we'd have visitors who might be traveling from abroad, and a lot of times what happened is they might fly into D.C., do all the stuff in the U.S. Capitol, then take a day trip down to Richmond and do all the Civil War stuff there. So you get a lot of visitors from outside the country too. So that was really interesting.
Great,
And how they view the Civil War is very interesting as well.
That's awesome. Do you have any specific things you plan on researching in the future? Not necessarily for the blog, but just in general with the Civil War?
Yeah, so if you've read any of my stuff with the blog, you know that I've written a lot about the Civil War. But another area that I'm kind of starting to migrate towards is the Civil Rights era. So next year I hope to be taking, or I will be taking, Dr. Berkner's World War II in America capstone for the history department. And my focus in that paper I hope to be is Double V, which is the African Americans' attempt to have victory abroad against Hitler, but also victory here against Jim Crow. So kind of the overall legacy, the long-lasting legacy of the Civil War, and really helping to realize the ideals of black freedom set forth in the Civil War.
Yeah, that's great. It'll be great to connect different eras and just show how something that happened back then that isn't something that you can't relate to something that happened later.
Right.
So thank you very much for joining us. This week we were here for next week we'll be here for Fellows Friday again, except we'll be having our seniors here. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.